All right, hello. So today, I'm going to clarify the guidelines regarding the use of the DSWD permit. Now, you may recall that we have specifically told you that in terms of the resource mobilization activities, there are two things that we are not allowed to do. One is that we are not allowed to post our materials, our campaigns publicly. We're only allowed to share it among our private networks. The second thing is we are not allowed to solicit cash donations. Now, with the coming of the DSWD permit, those two limitations to a certain extent will be answered. Now, um, before you jump in joy, however, there are a few things that I want you to remember. Um, the DSWD permit for NSTP is going to be under the Kada Uno organization. We're going to use the Kada Uno permit. Um, and the Kada Uno resource mobilization period is only permitted until July 10 to July 30, 2021. Here's another thing. The publicity materials that you have created can only be published until July 16, 2021. So that means that today is July 10, you only have 6 days to post, to share, to market your publicity materials, your call for cash donations. After July 16, you need to take down all the materials. Now, we have to follow this strictly because one, we are just borrowing the Kada Uno permit and we don't want to be the cause of headache to them. Second, the DSWD is actually very strict, so they are flagging those who are um, not following the instructions, and we don't want Kada Uno, specifically De La Salle, to be flogged for negligence and irresponsibility. Now, if the materials can only be posted until July 16, why is it that the resource mobilization period is until July 30? Here's the thing. There is still a process. So there is a buffer time given for processing. And there is also a possibility that even after July 16, your networks will continue to send donations. So the Kada Uno will continue to accept it until July 30. All right? So those two things are very important. Now, when we go to the third one, our activities, because they are supporting students affected by the challenges of distance learning, um, is actually within the allowed fundraising activities. So we won't have any problem there. Okay. Now, if the class chooses to use the DSWD permit, here's what you need to do. When you are creating publicity materials, you need to always include the DSWD permit number, kada uno logo. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you the logo and forward it to you. This one, you can see them. That's the logo, as well as the bank detail for all the materials to be posted publicly. So that DSWD permit, DSWD slash dash SB dash SP dash 0000230 2021, it needs to be there. That identifies your campaign as one legitimate. Second, it also put your it the bank account, um it puts the bank account that will be used in accepting the donations. Now, in terms of the bank account, I want you to note that the bank account that will be used is the Kada Uno bank account. So, um What will happen is that there is actually a bureaucratic process of transferring the money from the Kada Uno organization to you. All right? Let me do a summary of the process. So the Kada Uno will transfer the money to a De La Salle bank. The De La Salle bank will transfer the money to me. Um, and then, as the social engagement lecturer, I will disburse the fund to your GCash or to your bank account. So there is a process. And so, because there is a process, you need to make sure that all your donors will send proof of transfer to you or to your class representative. Absence of proof of transfer would invalidate withdrawal from the Kada Uno account. And you also need to compile all materials that are used for public solicitation. Now, this is where the Google folder of the class will come in handy. You need to have a specific place where you could dump all the proof of transfer and all the materials that you use. All right? Why? Because you need that in the disbursement process. So, let me go through the step-by-step process. So what will happen is that first, NSTP sections will collate all proof of bank transfer from donors and present it as one PDF file. NSTP sections shall collate all materials that are shared online. You will forward those proof of transfer and materials to me, and then I will send the fund withdrawal form to NFO on or before July 31, 2021, 12 noon. There is a deadline, so before July 31, you need to be able to submit that to me. The NFO is the office that handles NSTP, will compile all submitted fund withdrawal form and send it to Kada Uno on August 2, 2021. But again, that's just that's a target date. We know that things happen and there are other things that might cause delay. So we give it 3 days to 5 days buffer time. Then the Kada Uno will submit the bulk amount of all NSTP withdrawal form to DLSU. Then the DLSU shall disperse the funds to social engagement lecturers. Last year, what I did was from my account, from my DLSU payroll account, I disbursed the money to the GCash or the bank account of the class representative. Now, why did we go through the step-by-step process? What we want you to understand is that this process takes time. That's one. This process takes time. So there is a possibility that the money might not make it in time for your target implementation dates. You might not have the money in on hand when you're already doing or when you're already drafting and burning your learning materials. There is a possibility of a delay. How long is the delay? I don't really have a specific figure, but based on experience before, the delay can go from 1 week to 4 weeks. So I want you to think about how the process um, might might limit your project. However, since most of you, right, will be turning over the materials by week 9, there is a possibility that you can still, right, you will still be able to get the money before your final turnover. So that's one. The second thing, that's one, it takes time. The money will take time before it goes to you directly. The second is it you need to be very careful in terms of documenting expenses, documenting details, documenting your proof of receipt. You need to be very, very organized, because if you lose a proof of transfer, that will not be given to our class. So you have to take those two things into account: the time and the nitty gritty of the process. All right. So that's a DSWD permit. But again, the big plus here is that it eliminates the first limitation: you can post publicly. And the second limitation is that you can solicit funds. The only caveat is that you can only solicit those funds from July 10 to July 16. Okay? So, I have given you all the information that you need to understand the guidelines in terms of the use of the DSWD permit. Now, I'm giving you the power to decide if you want to use it. All right? So, if you want to use it, make sure to tell me that you do, and I will check the publicity materials that you have created. I will also visit your Facebook groups to monitor the resource mobilization activities. All right? So, if you have clarificatory questions, if you have questions I haven't covered in this short tutorial, short session, message them. It's better to use the discussions part so that all your classmates can see your questions. You know, your questions might also be their questions, so that when I answer your question, it also answers their questions. So it allows, it is more efficient. But if you don't want that, you may also send me an email. All right. So that's it. Good luck. Bye.